This study considers a learner's belief or confidence in their computer skills as it impacts their ultimate success in an online course. It was authored by Maria Puzzafero and published in 2008. It's being presented by Dawn Sanfilippo. The goal of the study was to determine if there is a correlation between a student's self-efficacy or confidence in their computer skills and their ultimate grade or satisfaction with the class. Self-efficacy theory refers to the student's belief in his or her capacity to execute the necessary behaviors to produce specific performance. In other words, learners believe they have the skills to reach a certain goal. They will much likely reach that goal. Alternately, if they believe they lack certain skills, they are less likely to reach that goal. When the learners believe they have the necessary skills, they're engaged, self-motivated, and their progress in attaining their goals was impacted by their learning beliefs. Self-efficacy is the learner's belief in their ability to perform a task. That's why they engage in the task in the first place. If they don't have such belief, then they're more likely to not engage in the task. Once engaged, the self-efficacy beliefs or confidence motivates the learner to exert control over his or her actions, behavior, and performance. In other words, the likelihood of success depends on their performance actions which are directed towards achieving that goal. This and the next slide contain prior studies and the conclusions of those. It is by no means all of the studies considered in the instant article. The ones that I cite here, the full citations can be found in slides 12 through 15. Also, the studies or the conclusions here are part of what is listed here on these two slides, are part of what is being tested in the author's current study. For prior studies, individual researchers have found a positive correlation between efficacy beliefs and confidence and increase in performance. In other words, the greater the confidence, the greater the academic performance. There's also a strong correlation between positive efficacy beliefs and persistence towards the ultimate goal. Conversely, negative beliefs resulted in increased test anxiety, which would have a negative effect on ultimate success. Computer self-efficacy is a skills measurement, and it's a key variable, although to what extent researchers are still analyzing, that would determine success in a distance learning situation. Positive knowledge or attitude towards computers gives greater confidence and exhibited greater or more knowledge in computers, and that confidence in turn increased computer skills. Students were less anxious and were more motivated to persist in online courses. So an understanding of the course content plays a key variable in determining success as well in distance learning. It is not surprising that students who are comfortable with their computer skills preferred online learning and reported higher generally self-efficacy. Computer self-efficacy is a skills measurement and a key variable which may determine success in distance learning. May being the operative word. Computer self-efficacy is a skills measurement, and it's a key variable which may, the operative word being may, determine success in distance learning. Students with positive attitude toward and knowledge of computers had greater confidence, exhibited greater and more knowledge in computers and confidence in their skills, were less anxious, and were more likely to persist in the online courses. Confidence in understanding the course content also plays a key variable in determining success in distance education, and it's not surprising that students who are comfortable with their skills preferred online learning and reported higher self-efficacy than students who enrolled in the course just because of its availability. I, for one, would have preferred access to face-to-face computer labs where I could have gotten additional support for the technological skills before enrolling in the class. What the author adds to this body of research is that she considers self-regulated learning theory and the role it plays in learner satisfaction in online courses. Where self-efficacy measures tasks, self-learning theory or self-regulated learning measures the motivation and learning strategies which an active learner uses to achieve success. Self-learning theory is the degree to which active participates in their. Where the author picks up from the prior studies is she considers self-regulating learning theory and its role in learner satisfaction in online classes. Where self-efficacy measures tasks, self-regulated learning theory measures the theory to which students are active participants in their own learning. The study of self-regulated learning is comprised of looking at metacognitive, cognitive, and research management study. The metacognitive strategies, which are listed above, refer to learner's self-awareness about his or her own cognitive process or processes. It relates to planning, organizing, and executing, and how the learners work to adjust those to optimize learning. Essentially, good learning skills. Cognitive strategies are those used by learners to acquire knowledge in the learning process. And continuing resource management strategies refer to the learner's ability to manage resources such as time, effort, peers, and instructors in such a way as to facilitate learning. They apply all of these strategies to their learning environments. Strategies and resources are employed in motivation, and motivation accounts why students engage and persist in such behaviors. Motivation may be external, internal, or intrinsic. The author suggests that the need for self-regulation in online learning environments may be even more important than in traditional environment because of the less active role of the teacher. She considered that online courses have a high degree of peer interaction and teamwork, which requires more proactive and self-directed involvement on the part of the individual learner. I, for one, feel that real-time interaction often leaves participation without peer-to-peer support, meaning online situation. And although students engage and learn from each other and from a larger percentage of their classmates, they are much less available to assist each other outside of class on a one-to-one basis. Again, that's my opinion. The testing of the hypothesis of this author questions if self-regulation learning is more important in distance education than in the traditional classroom. And there were a few thoughts on this. Some hypothesized that self-regulated learning was more important in distance education. They found that various self-regulation factors such as goals and study skills were significant, and that students who had taken online courses scored higher on study skills than those who had not. And this is the study, not the technological skills. This suggests that the higher experience with online classes would be an important variable to ultimate success. Further, there was a significant correlation between achievement in online courses and motivation and learning strategies. For the research, the author took a random sample of 350 online classes selected from a community college. The participants in the study were all volunteers. Questionnaire A contained what was used to evaluate motivational strategies and to evaluate learner beliefs in their technological abilities, as well as experimental and demographic factors at the beginning of the course. Questionnaire B measured satisfaction, and there was a modified questionnaire C, which was administered to students who withdrew from the course. Success, which is not objective, was tested through grades, completion in the course, and satisfaction. The authors of the study concluded or acknowledged that the definition of grade, using grade as success, has its limitations because for some the actual grade isn't as important as its transferability or how much they learned in the course. Also noted is that the participants were 80% female and 20% male. 2 questions, as opposed to the questionnaires, were used to test the hypotheses in this study. The first was whether students pre-course reported online technology confidence or confidence in their skills as a predictor of their ultimate grade performance and or satisfaction. And question 2 were the metacognitive, cognitive, and resource management skills, all listed above. Were they a predictor of performance and or satisfaction in the class? The limitations of the study were addressed in the prior slide, but there was one other criticism or limitation, was that the questionnaire C, seeking why students withdrew, did not consider the myriad of reasons such as work, family obligations, or other factors which would have resulted in their withdrawing from the class. And, oddly enough, not what I expected, the findings were that there was no significant difference in the students' confidence and computer skills in their ultimate satisfaction or grade in the class. There was a difference in their cognitive resource management skills with success in the online class. The remaining slides are resources or citations, and thank you very much for your participation in viewing this presentation.